Today's gameplay is very interesting, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Now, if you want to send me yours, there are instructions in the description below as to how you can do that, whether it's solos or squads. But this gameplay is pretty cool for a number of reasons. To start with, this play is from Australia, and Australian players often have to play on American servers at crazy levels of ping. We're talking 190 milliseconds of ping, which to me is borderline unplayable. So that's already a crazy thing to achieve. And second, it's keyboard and mouse gameplay, which we haven't had a huge amount of here on the channel, so I'm very keen to see that. And finally, it's from a man called Martonic, who I actually got to meet whilst visiting over in Sydney, who came out and said hello. So I'm really excited to actually review somebody's gameplay who I've physically met in person. There'll be a link to his channel in the comment section and description down below, and make sure you give him some hype. But let's dive on in. These videos tend to be pretty long and fairly unedited, so if you would like to drop a cheeky little like, that would be greatly appreciated. 200 ping. 200 ping on keyboard and mouse. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get over the fact that that is how he is playing this, because I would struggle indefinitely as somebody who's on, sometimes 2 ping. Oh, man. look at the hit reg delay on this. Right. Wait. This is crazy. Watch how long it took that shot to register. Oh man, it's so out of sync. That's a nice little early kill there. Obviously not a huge amount of loot from somebody off rip, but we are looking towards a bounty contract here, which is my preferred method of playing solos every single time. Bounty contracts are guaranteed $7,000 if you get the kill, so it's pretty perfect whatever you happen to do. He's seen somebody on radar, so he's playing the aggressive cross here. They're actually fighting each other. Always great to third party in these scenarios. They're not going to hit you. That guy is deep right, though. He's not as close as it appeared. So this is... yeah, that would be the concern, the first concern here. So if I see 2 guys fighting in a room, I'm thinking, yep, absolutely, bit of me. Easy way for me to cover the ground. They won't be able to hear me approaching, and I'll be able to get a freebie. But in this instance, a second set of shots, as you can see on the radar up here, starts coming in from the right. And inevitably, that means this guy also gets absolutely demolished from the range. Now, he lives, but if that was a loadout drop weapon, I reckon it probably would have got the kill. That's a nice chow. I like this chow as well, specifically because it's early game. You may as well take some risks early on. And it's really obvious to see that this guy is absolutely panicking, doesn't have any armor, just like you don't have any armor. So it's a risky play. But you know he's down to HP. You know he was playing as you're shooting him. So it's a pretty much given that he's either going to be low for plates or have no plates when you make that chow. A couple of early bits of action here. Nobody's even taken the bloody bounty yet. Nice use of the heartbeat sensor. You can audibly hear him approaching as well. Nice. So one of the things I'll just say, like just early on in this gameplay, this is going to be a fairly long video, by the way, so prepare yourself, strap yourself in and get yourself some dinner. I really like it when players use the advantages around them to compensate for situations that aren't in their favor. You're on 1 plate, you've got 35 bullets left in this AR, so there's a lot working against you here. It is a really intelligent move to play this shelf. A, you see the guy, you don't have aim assist because you're a keyboard and mouse player, but B, you're really easily able to make it an absolute living nightmare for this guy to fire back on you. So much so that I'm actually fairly confident he doesn't realize where he gets shot from, panics, slides around, panics some more, and by then you've already got the kill. So that's really, really well played. I always appreciate players who use environmental factors around them, good bits of head glitching, good bits of cover. I think that's something that higher caliber players do end up doing. They use those environments around them to make positions advantageous, to make gunfights advantageous, even when things are going against them. So that's a great example of that. You know, you've got 1 plate in, you don't have a lot of ammo. It's a fairly good given that a decent player pushing you with decent equipment will probably get a kill. That's a perfect way to manage that. You've only got $700, you've got some plates in, you've got some decent guns on the board now. This is a slug shotgun, which is a little bit risky. But we're going for the bounty. You've already seen him. The great thing about bounty contracts is you know where they are, they don't know where you are. Little bit of a scuffed landing. Now, I would say once you've already seen him here, you either drop in on the roof directly, or you land in on the shelf behind him towards the rock face. I make this mistake all the time as a player in Warzone. Landing directly on somebody, yeah, sure, it might work 50% of the time, but the other 50% of the time, they will just rinse you. We take those. Nice little shotgun kill. Good job switching weapon here as well and playing the CQB with the shotgun, because a lot of people don't use weapons that have strengths and advantages like that. Easy kill with a riveter. Bro somehow has a self early on, which is crazy. He also has loadout weapons. He must have found one of those boxes. That's a nice, decent kill. Like I say, with the changes to audio in this game right now, parachuting is actually one of the loudest things you can do in the game, which is actually why he gets off the buy station and panics. I just don't think he heard you actually physically land in. But yeah, always play the position that will enable you to get the kill. Never play directly onto the player. I do this all the time. I make this mistake all the time. It's something that I need to fix in my own gameplay. But really well done to get the clean kill off early and not really, you know, lose anything in the process. 4 kills up early on, by the way, guys. Now, it's worth mentioning that I don't read the emails that you guys send me when you give me this gameplay. I've had a lot of guys give me, like, a lot of intel about everything that they have in the game, so on and so forth, like, you know, how the game went. I never read it. I just want to watch it live as it happens, which is why I've included the camera to talk over it live as things occur. A pretty interesting choice to go for a self-res in this scenario. You don't have loadout, but if you're comfortable with the weapons here that you've picked up from this guy, which is a tac evolver and a striker, then you're well within your right to look more towards equipment and play a self-res. I probably personally would have saved for a loadout drop, but people's comforts with weapons range from person to person, so there's nothing wrong with playing a self-res here, getting some gear on the board. Plates especially, you were in dire need of, so it's a riskier play in the grand scheme of things, but you got loadout in 50 seconds. I hate pop-off power. I don't know about you guys at home. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but pop-off power, man, in solos, it's so brutal because there's just so many places where people can hide. And so many places where people can just sort of sit and you just wouldn't notice they're there. It's a very dense area, and I think that makes it quite challenging. And then there are other areas like this building and the silo where if you get caught out in the open, you're as good as dead because there's just so many height angles. There's a bit of indecisiveness about where to land here. And I would say at this altitude, you are well within killing distance. There's a guy. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, you have seen it. There's a guy down to your low left. I have no idea why he decided to peek you on that stairwell, but that's a nice clean kill. After taking that much damage from Attack Evolver, sorry, not Attack Evolver, Attack Eradicator, there's too many tac weapons in the game. Can you guys really blame me at this point? I don't really know why he went for the re-peek there, but I mean, look, if they're going to make mistakes, do what you got to do, right? Bit more cash, enough feasibly for a loadout here, which is probably what I would do at this point. I know, yes, we do have a loadout drop on the map already, but the flip side of the problem here is that once you use that, it's gone. And if you win your gulag, you win your gulag. Now, I honestly would not have fired on this opponent. My general rule of thumb for all of solos, and COD generally, especially solos though, because solos is bloody brutal. Never fire on somebody unless you're confident you can get a kill, or you can make enough damage that you can wrap up that fight quickly. Because in firing on this opponent, you're giving him a chance to realize where you are and where the threat's coming from, which he probably otherwise didn't know. You're making it impossible for you to play that buy station, and you've kind of also announced your presence to anybody in Popov, which is, again, a difficulty in itself, because Popov is a painful, painful place to be. It's not the kind of location where you want to be, like, sitting tight all game, or it's just a nightmare. Popov is not the one. There's a guy on the loadout, and he was already looking, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. You'll have to excuse me, I need a cough. This is exactly what I was talking about. This guy is looking in this direction as a result of you firing that tac. If you hadn't have fired the tac, he maybe would have been rotating around that rooftop, but he does know you're here. He'll have a vague awareness at the bare minimum that somebody's coming from that location. Those are some really clean shots. You're actually getting shot from a separate player from behind, which you have noticed there. That was very interesting. It was a good job picking that up because the sound cue wasn't particularly clear. Yeah, very different firing weapon from a sniper rifle from behind, which is probably why he dipped down earlier. He was taking 2 sets of damage. This is my only pet peeve with not having your loadout drop and having to use this tac eradicator is the time to kill on this thing is absolutely abysmal over range. You did a good job 3-playing him. A really good job 3-playing him. Sometimes just being the aggressor in these scenarios, getting some damage on some opponents can be very helpful in giving yourselves room to breathe and room to rotate. That guy was not going to peek for a little while longer. The guy on the roof is a problem, though, especially if you want to get your loadout drop. Now, at this point, this would be where I say, you've got $7,600. There is no need to play this loadout drop. You've already got all the money you need. Play somewhere else. Just move away from it. I figured you probably wouldn't do that. It's decent that he's moved away from this, but you're well within your right to just rotate away at this point. You've had a more strike. Still haven't gone for loadout yet, which is, you know, you're missing perks here. You're missing weapons that could be a bit more lethal. I probably would have just quickly grabbed that loadout drop whilst you were waiting for this. I like the aggression. This is a bit of a risky play in terms of the numbers because I think you hit him maybe twice, 3 times maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah, you hit him like once or twice at best. So this guy is going to be full plated by the time you've even parachuted back in, but he knows where you are. Striker at that range is quite impressive. So it's got a good damage model to it, which is why you've won that fight. Again, still an overly risky. I'm never going to criticize you for winning a bloody gunfight and playing aggressively because it definitely makes solos more interesting. But by the numbers, I probably wouldn't have made that push. And by the numbers, a better player probably would have killed you there. Whether or not you're assuming they're decent players or not is an entirely different philosophical question that I have to encounter every day as a streamer who is often told that I play against children. It's a difficult thing to ascertain. You know, sometimes you run into people, they are gods. Sometimes you run into them again, and they are utterly horrific. The Basby is an interesting choice in this equation. I don't know if it's something I would be using medium to long range, especially with the Jack BFB, which obviously does give away your location a little bit more. I always like having at least one suppressed weapon in the solos. That's a very unfortunate... this is such an unlucky grenade. He's like, yep, sweet, gonna get a nade on this guy. Nice and easy. Bounce off the little antenna there because of the ping. Oh, dear. That's a good job on the cleanup, though. If you're comfortable with the Basby, you're comfortable with it. Statistically, I don't think it's a solid option at this point for longer ranges. I think you'd be better off with a Holger, personally. But look, 7 kills up, half the lobby dead. You can't really complain. There are a lot of risky plays being made here. Plays that I probably wouldn't normally suggest to the average player. But I believe, if I recall correctly, you have around a 2 KD. So that's very impressive in Call of Duty terms, and you're obviously very confident in taking, you know, these kind of fights on and feeling like you can take those risks. That being said, from a player by the numbers I want to win this game scenario, a little less likely. Now that's a fairly hefty zone pull at this point. I like the idea of taking a bounty potentially. It's a nice easy way to... I wouldn't smoke this. I know that this is me splitting hairs here, so apologies for anybody watching at home. I'm gonna do this anyway. If you're in a scenario, which bearing in mind you have high alert, so you know if people are looking at you, you haven't been looked at. If you're in a scenario where you're on a buy station, I honestly wouldn't smoke myself because smoke grenades are one of the loudest sound cues in the game. And if nobody's looking at you, nobody's looking at you. You've obviously pulled up that UAV so you can just get a bit more confidence around your intel in the area, who's around you, where they are, what they're doing, and you've gotten one player on the ping. But just a little hair-splitting thing, something that doesn't matter in this scenario, but can matter in the future. Sometimes loadout drops, buy stations, things that are obvious locations for you to go for, if you're fairly confident there's nobody there, smoking it can sometimes actually give away your position. Always something to think about. Just food for thought, generally speaking. We're getting some smoke grenades back here, which I like. I like the fact that you're holding a set of plates, but you also have plate boxes, which are obviously more beneficial in the long run. It's good inventory management. Now, this is an Old Town finish. Old Town finish is good in solos in the sense that there are some fairly obvious power positions that you can play. There is a player immediately on that roof who I would be astonished if he doesn't see you. Oh my god, he might be legally blind. It's full spec savers. Yeah, this is an easy kill. That's crazy. I can't believe he hasn't seen you at all. Or at least heard the parachute, you know? Like, there's got to be some kind of audible there. Like, from give or take, here, he would have at least heard a faint parachute, which is maybe why he's spinning around, but he's not actually looking up. That's a nice, easy kill for you anyway. The bonus of being an aggressive player and picking up all these kills is you're just constantly getting money, loot, plates, things that you need that will benefit your overall gameplay. I like this zipline play. I love people who use zip lines for rotations. Running on foot around all these buildings where people could be hiding in is like punching a death ticket. You just know it's going to come eventually. And you know that some geezer who's just finished work. Now look, I know everybody's just finished work when they play COD, but some geezer who's just finished work, who is playing with reckless abandon, is going to be sitting in a corner in one of those buildings you run past. I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky again. I'm doing this because I believe in you as a player. Now, I don't always assume that the people I'm up against are pros or terrible, but when you're starting to hit, like, altitude-wise, fairly low down, to like, I could kill you from this height, right? Somebody else, like most players, I would say, can probably kill you from this height. So maybe just going prone on this roof, thinking about where exactly you want to go, and then committing to it on the zip line would save you those potential windows where you could get killed. You don't get killed by the looks of it, but it's just something to think. It's little tightenings of gameplay that in another game, in another random scenario, this would probably get you killed. So you've decided to rotate back this way, which honestly I'm not too sure about. I probably would have stayed in Old Town, but you do get sniped at, so I guess it wasn't the worst decision in the world. Again, smoking the buy when you're not entirely sure if there's anybody there. This is kind of what I'm talking about here. So you've smoked this buy, right? This guy probably has zero clue you're here. You pop the smoke, and now he knows you're here. Because the smoke is one of the loudest. It's louder than the audible cue for somebody parachuting. Now, it looks like this guy could potentially be a parachuter, but I think I've just seen him in the shipping container there. I think he's dropped down. I don't know if you noticed this, but for a very brief microsecond around... I want to say around here. I think you get an audible on a drop down. Okay, no, you've got audible up top. I thought he dropped down. I thought I heard somebody drop down. I'm wrong. Evidently, you're aware of his location. See, look, even I get it wrong sometimes. You can rinse me in the comment section for it. I know, right? Gosh, I play this game all day and I'm terrible? What? That's nuts. This is decent. I still think there's a little bit of game management to do here, but we're 8 kills up. 1 spectator, so somebody's definitely pissed off at you. I think it would be really worth you rotating more centrally. Already at this point, we're kind of around circle 3. We're about to hit circle 4. I like having extra grenades. Oh, you've got that terrible... Look at this terrible glitch. I hate this. It's like an inventory UI bug. This has been in the game for ages for some people. Oh man, that lag would drive me crazy. Also, so we're playing at 190 ping. By the way, guys, we want to talk about 8 kills on 190 ping, by the way. 8 kills on 190 ping. Like, respectfully, I'm not doing that. 190 ping, I mean, I might get 8 kills, but I won't enjoy any second of it. He's just cruising around like it ain't a problem. I wouldn't fire on that. I wouldn't fire on that. 45-round magazine. You're using a BASB, which even with this compensator is not going to be accurate enough. You're not going to get the kill. And now you're going towards a zip line whilst being marked on the map, which has now caused you to be instantly sniped at. Now look, I'm not saying I'm some sort of jinxies of Call of Duty Warzone. Bro has definitely got a few more screws loose than me. But I can tell you for free that that was not a smart idea. I think it's one thing I think all players in solos do. So I'm obviously picking apart this man's gameplay for everything, every minor detail. You're probably holding him to a higher standard than I bloody hold myself to, if I'm being perfectly honest. But audible cues in solos are so huge. Firing your gun, appearing on the map, and making a ton of noise for a kill you're not going to get. is such a crazy value proposition. It's always something to think about. I like smoking this. This makes more sense. You know you're at threat. Lovely little thing here. I'm going to pull out a little detail for those of you at home who aren't degens like the rest of us and don't play this game for unholy amounts of time until it degrades your mental health. Jumping before you hit the zip line skips about a 2-second animation of putting yourself on the zip. It's little things, you know? It's like getting a little discount at Tesco, you know? It just works. You're just happy with it. And that's exactly that. Now, hold up. We got to talk about this zone because this is horrific. Let's have a look at this zone quickly. This zone is cheeks. This zone is utter booty cheeks. I would give you my run of play for this in terms of, I'm going to give you a full seismic breakdown of why I would play this and how, because I've got nothing better else to do, clearly. You've got a couple of cranes here. I reckon that centermost crane, taking the highest position in the centermost crane, and then just going full prone and letting the 26 people around you kill each other is a solid position. That being said, there is also something to be said about being too central and in one of the power positions too early. So this is a mess of a zone. If you play down low, you're at the mercy of these wide open spaces over here, over here, over here. The buildings aren't defendable. All of them are big enough that you wouldn't be able to audibly hear whoever pushes you. Nightmare Circle. Nightmare Circle, really curious to see how you play it. Going to a crane and going prone is not a bad option, but you literally cannot peek. Like, you literally cannot peek. You cannot fight anybody. You would end up in a scenario where everybody's looking at you. Going back across towards Old Town, and I'm going to do it again. I'm so sorry, Martonic. We've met in person. I've shaken your hand. You're a lovely person. You are already low enough to get your head blown clean off. So I like using the zip lines. I think it's such a great way of playing in solos. But always figure out where you're going before you hit the zip. And if you're not entirely sure about where you're going, commit to somewhere early rather than waiting, because you've got a guy literally under you. Nice little use of the old BAB monitor. I mean, it works, right? Bro is AFK, so that's good. Oh, bro is definitely doing something because he's like using the mic now. Look, a more sadistic man would say that executing somebody is going to give away an audible cue and make you vulnerable. I'm not that man. That was also quite funny to watch. Am I going to complain about an execution? No, somebody ziplined right behind you. Don't know if you heard that. Did he hear this? I think he maybe thought he heard it. Somebody hits a zipline. Now. Yeah, literally right there, top left of that wall, on the building you've just left, somebody's there. Which I think you figured out because you're rotating for the high position inside, which is a logical thing to do. I love it when people use crap around them. You go into so many buildings with suppression mines, gear on the floor, pies, betties, whatever it so happens to be. Use them. They work. .41 ping in that direction. Now, you heard that zipline, so you know there's probably somebody over there. That could be him on the rotation. He could have moved building already. I wouldn't make that presumption. It's always a bad idea to assume something. Oh man, you are full Dolby Atmos surround sound right now. You got a lot of geezers under you. Oh, sniper glint. That's... See... Again, little tight, very splitting hairs things. You don't get sniped by the sniper, right? A better sniper's taking your head off the second you ADS here. And on top of that, you know there are two players around you who may not necessarily know you're there. The guy below you definitely does with the amount of noise you've made. The guy distant in the next building over definitely doesn't know you're here. Or he wouldn't have any audible cues to ascertain that you're here. So firing this immediately tells him, it tells the whole lobby of this general location that you are here. And that's fine, obviously, if somebody of your KD But other players, they're blowing your head off or they're making a play on you. You know what I mean? You should never assume a player's too terrible. Do you know what I mean? Benefits of the suppression mine. Oh, you got stuck on your own ladder. That's really rough. And on 200 ping as well, you know, little things like this can really ruin you. Oh, that's so unlucky. But you did a really good job to change and deal with that. See, that suppression mine's quite... That guy was crouch walking the whole way up, by the way. Like, for those of you watching at home who are like, oh, why did he use the suppression mine? That's why. That dude crouch walked the whole way up. Like, he was willing to slow play that entire scenario just for one kill. Now, this is really smart. I like this from you. So, obviously, you're using the heartbeat sensor because you want to ascertain what's around you. But you've obviously spotted that somebody's fired from this building, and you've heard the bullet impacts on your building. Between that and the footsteps, it's clearly obvious someone's below you. You know he's not anywhere of an immediate threat, which I like. Oh, he's rotated up. Yep, you've heard that. Good nade, good nade. Perfect. Chef's kiss. They should hang that shit in the Louvre. The Louvre? The Louvre? I'm sorry, I'm English. I can't help it, guys. French isn't a real language anyway, gosh. I think it's the Louvre. It's the Louvre, isn't it? There you go. See? I'm not that terrible. I'm not as uncultured as I sound. That was a really good nade, though, because not only, obviously, I don't know why bro is just, like, chilling out under you here, just, like, expecting something to change. Like, I don't know what he's expecting once you start shooting. He obviously panics a little bit, but then your nade that you pre-threw, which at a perfect angle, I might add, pure trigonometry occurring there. It just works. Everything about that was chef's kiss. 11 kills on 190 ping is utterly insane. Like I say, this is my first time watching this. I don't read you guys' emails when you send me your gameplay. Couple of threats nerfed. This is pre-airstrikes appearing on the map, so running away from this at full pelt, definitely the best idea you can do. Done a good job of, like, quickly getting the heartbeat sensor out and confirming that you're somewhat safe in this building. Like I say, this is a messy, messy circle. I think my earlier call of playing the crane probably would have been good here. Like, it definitely would have worked. That being said, even I 100% agree. This is a circle where there aren't any necessarily wrong answers. The only wrong answer is playing this building up here, up in this corner that you can see where my mouse is. That big old warehouse is an absolute bloodbath. You go there, GG, game over. Like, you're going to get pushed by every little Timmy who wants a building to hide in. And conversely, I think is the word I would use for that. Not only would you get pushed by everybody who is looking for a building to hide in, it's big enough that you don't have audible range on that building. That's nice. That's nice. I've spoken about this time and time again in solos when I'm live. You've not made any noise here. And because you've made no noise, you've allowed this guy the confidence to just waltz inside and think he's safe. And because you haven't shot him instantly, he's thinking, yeah, this is a nice building. I'll take this building. Bang, gone. You know, suddenly dad's come home with the milk. You know what I mean? Like, it's pure carnage. He was not expecting it. Lots of plate boxes and munis. I would maybe pop some of those down at this point because you're probably not going to... The muni I would at least have on hand or at least ready because you're going to need smokes for a rotation. God, this is such an awful circle. This is a terrible circle. I'm going to do a really cruel thing in the process of this video. I've just realized what I'm going to title this. Spectating out of region player on 200 ping. Which definitely makes it sound like he's a cheater. But no, this is a legitimate problem that Australian players have to put up with because OCE lobbies are very limited in terms of player count. And if you want to just constantly get into games without waiting 7 years, you have to play North American West servers. So this is a huge nerf. 190 ping is crazy. I would be struggling. To have 12 kills on 190 ping and annoy people enough that you've got 3 spectators... I like the idea of playing this really slow. Wow. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. There are no good options in this circle. The warehouse is a nightmare unless you play for the roof specifically and sit up top. Even then, no guarantee of safety. And you only have a small segment of the roof to actually stay in hard cover in. And then you're out in the open on shipping containers. Nightmare. Get 57-meter ping. This is a really good bit of map knowledge here because he knows there isn't a huge amount of cover. Hides again. He hides again, sees that the gap has been shortened. So this guy is just running out in the open. And then bang. Perfect. So you know he's making that run across. That's really well done. I like this. In terms of worst options, playing the roof is one of the better options. You need to be very aware. Oh, I don't know about playing back inside here. There are people on the cranes, which is the play I said earlier. That is your biggest threat in this scenario. I am astonished nobody is in this warehouse so far. This is the bonus of having this heartbeat sensor with you throughout this solos experience, is that you've been able to get intel on pretty much everyone here. Although it is starting to get just a little bit low on battery. Nice. That guy's obviously like ghosted, cold-blooded. You can actually audibly hear him clanking around a little bit on the shipping container. It might be a little bit quieter for you guys in the post-production, but you can hear him kind of strafing side to side. It's not a huge amount of noise, but it's enough. He's definitely above you. He's done a really good job of not making a huge amount of noise on that roof, considering it's metal. That durable gassy is not a huge benefit to you. I actually like calling in the deployable buy station here because it's a bit of extra chaos for absolutely no reason. It makes these last two guys think about what's going on. You actually know exactly where both of them are. You do not want to break that glass window. That's going to give... see... Now, I've accidentally skipped to the back of the gameplay here. But that's given him an immediate inkling as to where you are. So you break this window. So he's on the other side of the roof, which is why he hasn't instantly shot you from above. So you see him appear on the radar there. You do have enough of a window here to make the wall. So I fully understand why you've decided to just go full send, especially considering both of these players are out the circles. That's the intelligent thing to do. Now, you do get a kill straight away here. I love the fact that you've rotated around the wall to obscure your position, because obviously that guy on the roof has heard the glass break. He's expecting you to be somewhere on the wall. That's huge. That's a great little kill there. Yeah, perfect. Absolute clinic, honestly. There are little, like, you know, things that I can split hairs about. Audio cues being one of them. There is a door under, so if you drop down, you could have gone through the door silently and not made the noise, because this guy probably could have just ran across the roof and tried to shoot you on the cross. But this is very clinical. You make a very intelligent decision because you know the other two players are in the gas to go aggressively towards the circle and be the person who holds them out. You know there's two of them. You get a nice bit of intel there. You kind of knew where he was roughly anyway. And then you already know the other guy's on the roof. Reposition. Look straight for him. It doesn't get any better. That is a phenomenal set of gameplay. I rate it 9 pogs out of 10. There are some very minor things that I've called out in this gameplay that in other games may have gotten you killed. But from start to finish at 190 ping on keyboard and mouse, you just got to applaud it, chat. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below. Please leave some hype for Martonic as well, and check out his channel as well. It's in the description. Really appreciate you guys sending me your gameplay. If you want to send me yours, there are instructions in the description below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.